the flip side, Missouri Tigers perhaps playing their best basketball of the season. The net of 59, not really indicative of where this team has been, Richard, over the last month.
Not at all. This team was hampered with injuries in the first half of the season. Now they're healthy and they're playing top-notch basketball. This is a team that has balance on the inside and outside. A big win. T.O. Barrett really brought it last game against Tennessee. They'll have to continue that to solidify their NCAA tournament resume.
This is a team that currently entering the day is receiving one of the last 4 byes in the field of 68, according to Joe Lunardi. However, a loss today at Mississippi State would shake all of that up for the Tigers. Feels like this is another quote-unquote must-win for a team that's trying to make it back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances for the first time under their head coach, Dennis Gates.
Well, Dennis Gates, always a poised leader, and he understands the importance of this game. A tough game on the road. Mississippi State has had Missouri's number here in Starkville, but this is a massive opportunity for the Tigers to get into the field of 68.
You're absolutely right. The hump has been a house of horrors for Missouri in recent years. They have lost 8 in a row in this building until last season. And here we go. Mississippi State wins the tip in the home white. Missouri in the road black. Our officials, Courtney Green, Orlandis Poole, and Garrick Shannon from Humphrey Coliseum. Inside Ballard was stripped, and it'll stay here with 17 to shoot.
That's a good idea for Mississippi State, trying to set up some things in the interior with Quincy Ballard, who's been playing pretty effective ball in the last 7 or 8 games. They'll have to be able to see if they can get something set with the tone inside.
Look at that football pass. 3/4 court into the hands of Hubbard, one of the top scorers in the SEC. Under 10 to shoot. Here's Jaden Epps. Playing through a banged up knee. A chore. Not sure he got it off. And yes, Orlandis Poole is going to blow it dead for a shot clock violation.
Now it's an outstanding first defensive possession there for Missouri. They're hard hedging, getting the ball out of the hands of Josh Hubbard and making heavy in the gaps.
You mentioned the injuries for this Missouri team earlier in the season. Jaden Stone, of course, was a big piece of that. He missed a handful of games in December, returned at the start of SEC play. With him and Trent Burns healthy, this team is totally different. And they're taking on a Mississippi State team that has shown the ability to put together great stretches. Saw it in back-to-back wins against Auburn and Ole Miss. As Mitchell gets to the cup, no, and the tap-back jam is good for Sean Phillips Jr.
A good start offensively for the Tigers. They're doing a great job of giving the ball to Mark Mitchell, who's been guarded one-on-one, which is going to be to his advantage in the low post.
The size and the length of Missouri really disrupted this Mississippi State team when they faced each other a month ago like that. Phillips altering the shot of Jones. Barrett extra pass. Pierce knocks down a 3, and it's a 7-0 start for Missouri.
That's beautiful basketball and just a hot start that Missouri needs. Coming right down, unselfish in the extra pass. Pierce stroking it from the corner.
Similar start to when they met on January 31st. Missouri led by 10 early. Got up as many as 15 in the second half before Mississippi State cut it to 3 with 2 minutes remaining. And Chris Jans, Richard, really talked about the physicality in that game and how his team needed to set the tone early today against Missouri to sort of shift the tides in that favor.
Well, not off to the start that Chris Jans wants to have in this one. They're going to have to settle down offensively against this activity of Missouri, and another turnover created by the Missouri Tiger defense. They've done a really good job of being connected, showing active hands, even switching off ball and understanding that you're trying to get the ball out of the hands of Josh Hubbard. The defensive game plan for Dennis Gates and crew has been successful so far.
Turned Tennessee over 15 times in their top 25 win against the Vols on Tuesday night. Tigers have beaten a pair of top 25 teams in the last week and a half. Mitchell, fadeaway fadeaway jumper good, and a 9-0 lead for the Tigers.
Gorgeous move right there by Mark Mitchell in the low post. They cleared out that whole other side of the court, dropped it off the 25 in black. He had plenty of time to operate, and he dominated in the one-on-one set.
Still have not seen a shot from Mississippi State leading scorer Josh Hubbard. Here he is with the basketball. Hubbard goes high off the window, and the first points for State nearly 3 minutes in.
That's a high-level move right there by Josh Hubbard. He has to use a lot of energy to get these buckets against the length of Missouri.
That's great defense by Jones. And now Hubbard flips it into the paint and lost by Jamarion Davis-Fleming, and back the other way.
Mississippi State's got to elect if they're going to make a decision to send a double team. You got one-on-one in the low post, and one of the stronger players in the SEC, Mark Mitchell, just taking his time, getting to his spot, turning over his right shoulder with that sweet left-handed touch in the mid-range.
Coming off back-to-back 20-point games, at 23 against Tennessee. Inside Phillips, back to Mitchell. Phillips, his second offensive board and putback.
Well, the physicality and Phillips and his ability to get on the offensive rebound. It's set up with that screen by T.O. Barrett to get Mitchell open.
Blocked by Stone, still 15 to shoot. Missouri Tigers, the longest team in the SEC, and it has shown in this stretch of 4 wins out of the last 5 as Barrett picks it and draws a foul. And Jones down after the play, a little bit shaken up as we go to break. Missouri shooting 63%. They've already turned State over 4 times. They led it by 9 early on the road. T.O. Barrett often gets forgotten about in terms of physicality and length at the point guard position, coming off a career-high 28 points in a win against Tennessee. Really a microcosm of how dangerous this team can be in March, Richard, with the length and the size and the physicality that Dennis Gates likes to play with.
I mean, it's the only way to describe it. You know, when you talk about being tough, the physicality, you can repeat it over and over. It's the body blows that they deliver to you. And they do it not only on the defensive end. You touched on T.O. Barrett. With his physique, he's able to get into the body of his defender, and you feel that. And that type of tough drive and spirited drive, it takes a toll on you for the duration of 40 minutes.
Barrett at 6'4" was not even figuring into the conversation in terms of starting point guard at the beginning of the year. It's going to be Anthony Robinson, the returner, who was an all-defensive performer last year, but with some injuries and lineup shifting, Barrett got a chance. And he is playing the best basketball of his career over the last 8 games.
He's figured out how to utilize his skill set to be effective. And at 6'4", he's a downhill driver and shifty when he gets a mismatch in the low post. And when he can get point-blank baskets, he's extremely effective.
That's great defense by Hubbard, winning it back for Mississippi State, who is just 1 for 5 to start the game.
That's something you can build on if you're Mississippi State. Creating that turnover, being tough at the point of attack on those ball screens and dribble handoffs to be disruptive.
McGee turns the corner, felt the body of Burns, and they will count the bucket on a goaltend.
Burns a little too active on that rebound attempt. But that's a spirited drive by Jabari McGee, and he's a strong-bodied guard that Mississippi State's going to have to utilize, as now they're jumping in a little bit of full-court pressure to see if they can get some turnovers. Back out Barrett, 10 to shoot. Boy, that turnaround
is silky from the 7'5" Trent Burns.
That's how you play the game. You're 7'5". Burns has the outside shooting touch, but there he sets up shop down low in the paint and throws it right over the top.
Matsura kick out. Late in the timer again for Mississippi State. 5 to go. McGee had to hoist a contested 3, and a foul on the floor will go against the Tigers.
Missouri making Mississippi State earn everything offensively, but here you see at 7'5", Burns, he asked for it right there with a piece in the paint, doesn't hesitate, and trusts his extension. And you have that type of wingspan, you just try to get your player on your hip, turn over your dominant shoulder, he's right-handed, and shoot that right over the top. You get into the court every single day and you work on those touch shots around the basket and become much easier as you move forward in the game.
Has had the best 2-week stretch of practice since coming to Missouri, ahead of last season according to Dennis Gates. Good block there by Trent Pierce. It'll stay here with 7 to shoot.
Mississippi State's been electing to just throw it in the backcourt. They got some design. See if they can get an easy bucket here in the half court.
So tough with the length. You got 6'10" Trent Pierce, 7'5" Trent Burns. Matsura tried to go over him and could not.
Every shot's being contested by Missouri.
Stone, shuffle, Burns, another baby hook is good.
Yeah, that's how you play the game. You have your weapons, you have to use them. You're not going to have anyone contest you at that type of height. Trust the touch that you have from that position and let it fly.
Hubbard off the side of the rim. He's now 1 for 3, and a foul on Jamarion Davis-Fleming. First 6.5 minutes, it's already clear yet again, Richard, that Missouri has such an advantage in terms of length on both ends of the floor. How do you combat that if you're Chris Jans and Mississippi State?
Well, you have to do it with overall team play. You understand that your top guy, Josh Hubbard, is going to be at the top of the scout report. They're double teaming and trying to get the ball out of his hands. It's the little things, the screening away from the ball, solid screens, doing a good job of being physical when it comes to V-cutting and getting open, and then shooting the ball with confidence. But the only way you're going to get an open shot is to use your teammates effectively to get yourself a peek.
State is just 2 for 10 from the floor to start this game. Here's Jaden Epps off the bench, and he traveled the 5th turnover on the Bulldogs.
Here's an example right there that I speak of. If you're Mississippi State, it's your off-ball movements that's going to create the shots. As Jaden Epps trying to take his man one-on-one, it doesn't put the defense in rotation. Get him moving on the weak side, then you'll get a clean look.
Ant Robinson took it all the way, tapped into his hands by Burns, fresh 20. Back inside Burns. Rebound attempt, Pierce, and another second chance paid off by the Tigers.
Missouri is coming out of the gate, executing their game plan on both ends of the court effectively. Look at the length of this Missouri team. Active hands, communicating on the switch on the ball screens.
Epps doing a nice job turning the corner, his first point.
And you credit that basket right there for Epps to Jamarion Davis-Fleming. He sealed in and ducked his man off, allowing that alley for Epps to get a layup.
Stone, lethal from 3, forces a timeout by Chris Jans. What a start for Missouri. 60% from the floor. They lead it by 14 on the road. This afternoon playing out very similarly to the beginning of the last time they met about a month ago on January 31st. Missouri opened the game on a 12-2 run, utilized three-point shooting and turnovers to build an early lead. Mississippi State chased the game for most of the night. Jamarion Davis-Fleming with the flush. Maybe that is the spark that State needs.
And the reason they were able to get it, the first assist in the game for Mississippi State, a great design play, getting Fleming cleaned up. And he's at 6'10", 240 pounds, a really good athlete, a lot of potential in his game.
Inside to Phillips Jr. Look at that physicality going right into the painted area and deep for two.
Mississippi State's going to have to consider coming with a double team, and Chris Jan's trying to figure out how do you bow up and be a little bit stronger on those one-on-one post-up moves. Phillips playing strong.
7 foot 245. He is a load. And too hot for McGee to handle the 6th Bulldog turnover.
Great design action coming out of the break. The screen roll, and Epps puts it right on the money. Slow rotation coming over from Mitchell, and you see Fleming going right over the top. Now, this kid has a great upside. If he can put it together and have some time of development with his frame, I really think he can be impactful moving forward.
But how do you defend that if you're the smaller and much slighter of frame Jamarion Davis-Fleming?
And the older. This is just experience. Fleming, a young player, still got to figure it out. And quite frankly, you don't see a lot of low post play anymore in the collegiate game. So you got a guy like Sean Phillips Jr. ducking in point blank. That's a difficult find. And there he is, active on the offensive boards once again. Sean Phillips Jr. He's making his impact in this game early on the road.
And he draws the 2nd foul on Jamarion Davis-Fleming. Now, Phillips has had an interesting career arc. 1 season at LSU, 2 at Arizona State, but foot injuries and inconsistency really stalled his growth in Tempe. This year at Missouri, he's really resurrected his career, Richard.
Well, really, it takes time for bigs to be effective. You know, oftentimes you can see it in young kids who are developing. The taller players, it takes a little bit more time for the coordination to come through in the game. And he did not have that long period of time of development in one particular system. And you get your body strong, you understand how it moves, and now here he is with in his senior year at Missouri. It's starting to come together. So understanding how to play the game and the development plays a big role in how effective big men can be.
Auburn 3 left it short, and it was tipped by Missouri. So it'll stay here with 14 on the timer. The SEC Network has a full day of college hoops. Action continues at 3:30 Eastern, South Carolina and Georgia, followed by Oklahoma and LSU. Then Ole Miss in a monumental game for Auburn. Currently, last 4 in, according to Joe Lenardi, as we start this major day, the penultimate weekend of SEC play.
Yeah, that's a must-win game for Stephen Pearl and the Auburn Tigers. And there's another turnover as Mississippi State not on the same page when it comes to being connected offensively.
Well, the Auburn Tigers just a couple of weeks ago were squarely in the big dance, and then a couple of losses, including to this Mississippi State team on the road, have them squarely on the bubble now, Richard, with just a couple of games left in the regular season.
Auburn's benefiting because they have a strong strength of schedule. And they've had a couple of signature wins on the road at Florida, beat a really good Houston team early on in the year, or played them to the wire, rather. But a team that definitely has the potential to be in the NCAA tournament, but they have a lot of work to do in the last 3 games of the SEC. They have to improve that resume because they're squarely on the bubble.
4th foul on Mississippi State. Phillips back to the line. First year as a starter at the collegiate ranks. And really the first year since he was at LSU as a freshman that he's been healthy from start to finish. So much of that is a factor too in his career development.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, your best ability is availability. And if you can be on the court getting those reps, particularly in practice, then that's where your game is really going to grow. That's where young players have to really understand the importance of strength and conditioning and nutrition, recovery, and do everything you can to compete night in, night out.
Already 11 points to go along with 3 boards. 20-point lead for the Tigers. 9:40 to go in the opening half. Ballard with a chance at the three-piece.
That's a major league move right there. You got 2 7-footers right there. That's a little throwback. And they throw that ball in the low block, and Ballard takes his time. That swoop move over the top creates the first step. Look at that. Beautiful footwork, quickness, and a strong finish, squaring up his body, keeping Phillips behind him to finish that one.
Well, you and I were talking, Richard, about who could be that consistent third scoring option for Mississippi State. Ochoa's name comes to mind. But don't forget about Quincy Ballard. He has flashed this year as well.
He has. In his recent games, he struggled against Alabama, and mainly because when you play against up-tempo teams, he's not as impactful. But his previous 7 games prior to that one, shooting 73% from the field and playing really good basketball, this could be a matchup that he could bring something today.
Slipping inside, Mitchell for 2.
That's a great job right there. Mark Mitchell on that baseline drive, shaped up towards the middle, and the strength to be able to muscle that one home over the rim.
Foul on Ant Robinson. 3rd on the Tigers. So much of the scoring has fallen on Josh Hubbard's shoulders, and rightfully so. He is one of the premier scorers, not just in this conference, but in the country. But now we're starting to see Mississippi State play teams for a second time. And the way they're defending and shutting down Hubbard, much different than when they met for the first time.
Well, this kid, he definitely has my respect. You know, at under 6 feet tall, and you're at the top of the scouting report. The key for the other teams is very simple. It's try to shut you down. And he knows he's the focal point. It's hard to get easy buckets at that size. As you see some size down low by Quincy Ballard using that jump hook. But Hubbard, the resiliency to bring it every single game is highly commendable.
Robinson 3. Hubbard pushing the pace. Ochoa coming off 18 points in the loss to Alabama. Picked by Barrett, who saved it and whips it up the sideline to Robinson. 3-on-2. Robinson counted in the foul. Crafty finish for the junior from Tallahassee.
That's really good recognition there by Anthony Robinson the second. He got out in transition because of that save. The feisty play of T.O. Barrett throws it ahead. But look at Missouri. Everyone's running wide and running their lanes. That opens it up for Robinson to take it right down the middle and draw the foul and go to the line for the old-fashioned three-point play.
Missouri lived at the line when these teams faced each other about a month ago. Outshot Mississippi State 33-18 at the Charity Stride.
When they're playing downhill, they are loath to stop. And it starts with the way that you execute. You can see they have been drilled well as those wings got out and ran that transition wide to create opportunities. And he made the right choice, which was effective. Look at this defensive effort.
Matzer 3, no. Rebound attempt from Ballard. Knocks it out of bounds. It'll be Missouri ball when we come back. All Tigers to start. Chris Jans and company searching for answers.
South Carolina is flexing their muscle, but you definitely have some contenders this year. I'm starting with the Vanderbilt Commodore. Shea Ralph and her squad has been playing outstanding this season. For me, the SEC Player of the Year in Michaela Blakes has been magnificent. On a tear. A lot of really good teams in Texas. Man, watch out. Going to be a lot of fun to watch the women's side.
Mitchell draws a foul. He's headed back to the line for the Tigers, the 6th on Mississippi State. Missouri has made nearly as many field goals as Mississippi State has attempted in this game, and they've done it inside and out.
Well, they've been able to do it because of what they've done on the defensive end, creating 9 turnovers so far in this game for Mississippi State, giving them more possessions, and they're taking advantage of it. by taking with strong drives and beautiful design plays. Coming right after that timeout, Dennis Gates drawing that up to get Mark Mitchell freed up. And he's back on the line shooting too.
This is likely feeling familiar to Mississippi State fans. Same way they might have felt Wednesday night. We had their game at Alabama. The Tide came out firing on all cylinders, hit 16 threes in the first half, and got Mississippi State down so big, Richard, that they were really unable to get into their stuff offensively.
Yeah, and they were able to do a little bit in the second half. But see, just like that, that shot right there, it takes so much energy to manufacture offense if you're Mississippi State. In some ways, it's personnel driven. But even what you have is what you have. And Chris Jans knows that his team, they are what they are. As you see that tough move there by Hubbard. And not a lot of contact up top by T.O. Barrett. May have got him at the bottom because Hubbard has a patented move to naturally kick his legs out. But he's back to the line. If you're Mississippi State, you got to figure out a way collectively to use your off-ball screens and work the ball around to see if you can get a clean look, because the energy that you have to use to get something on the one-on-one set is going to wear you down throughout the game.
Hubbard had 22 when these teams last met on January 31st. It was a game that Missouri won by 5. Barrett too heavy. Tap out Stone. Inside Burns. Trying to get to the rim against Ballard, and he does. Took him to the prom.
Man, he looked a little bit like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as he was able to use that footwork and go back to that sky hook. That's got to be a weapon that needs to be in his game moving forward.
Tigers still shooting above 60% from the floor. Here's Ballard now trying to respond on Burns. Barrett running the break.
If I'm Burns, I'm going right back to the low post and setting up shop. Demand the ball.
Defended by the much smaller Sean Jones Jr. Picked up by Hubbard. 3-on-2. Lob to Matsura.
That's a great job by Mississippi State. They came down and doubled on that low post, which created the turnover and the easy bucket in transition. They're going to have to consider coming and doubling in the paint.
Long, and I mean long, turnaround jump hook by Burns.
Go to work, young fella. And listen, it's a tool that you have to be able to use. Trent Burns going to work with the sky hooks and the beautiful footwork. And you see how Trent Burns is taking his time. And look, shaping up after the drive by Mitchell. He spots there's not a double team. You get right over that left shoulder, and you're not going to see the defender right there in front of you. You're rim focused, and you let the ball fly with some touch, and there he's able to get that one to drop.
Well, he's somebody else, too, that has really emerged for Missouri in recent weeks. Talked about him having the best 2 weeks of practice since putting on a Missouri uniform. Now in his redshirt freshman year. He's played 48 combined minutes over the last 3 games after playing just 30 through the first 12 games of SEC play.
Well, that's what you want to see from your teams. You get deep in the season. You never know when you go into the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament who you're going to have to rely on. And I'm seeing some of these coaches going a little bit deeper into their rosters, and that's a really good thing for Missouri to have that luxury.
Open 3, Robinson knocks it down.
This Tiger team is playing with supreme level of confidence. They know the urgency that they got to get a win, and a signature win in an emphatic way. They don't seem to be letting their foot off the gas one bit.
As of today, one of the last 4 byes in the NCAA tournament, according to Joe Lunardi. A win here likely solidifies their spot in the field of 68. Anything after that, cherry on top. But this is a team that I know you feel like can make a run in the SEC tournament in a couple of weeks in Nashville.
If there was a team in the SEC that I would pick that I would not want to play, it would be Missouri.
Why is that?
Yeah, I think everyone looks at the top 4 teams that are going to have the double byes. And Missouri, depending on what happens, you never know. It's not settled. They could be one of them. But you talk about positional size, interior play, balanced attack, shooters on the outside, and the ability to defend. It's a mismatch that they have a type game that can travel and win in any situation.
They're in a four-way tie for 5th right now. The other 3 teams they have all beaten: Kentucky, A&M, and Vandy. It's a Missouri team with some elite wins in league play. Here's King Grace, the freshman, takes it all the way and left it short. 2 shots coming.
That was a really good job by Mississippi State. Delquan Warren, with the active hands, comes up with that steal. Mississippi State's got to figure out a way to get some of the turnovers to get into their offensive sets. When they have to score in the offense in the half court, when Mizzou is able to set up, that really reduces their ability to be effective. But if they can get out and run and have numbers in transition, then they might be able to find something.
State fans glad to see Grace back in the lineup. Tweaked his groin against Bama after scoring 13 points in 13 minutes. They missed him in the second half of that game. Somebody that they are very excited about in the future. It's an unfamiliar spot for Chris Jans, to say the least. Coming off 3 straight 21-win seasons, 3 straight trips to the NCAA tournament. Really the best stretch for Mississippi State basketball in the last 20 years. Barrett double pump fake, cleared the way and puts it down. Hubbard still with just the 4 points, averaging over 20 a game. McGee, tough shot won't go, got his own miss. Hubbard reloads and cannot hit.
That's one that Hubbard wish he has back. Been the cleanest look he's had all day long, utilizing that pump fake. Missouri's doing a really good job getting back in defensive transition. Look at this.
Phillips Jr. stripped by Hubbard, but the foul, and that is number 2 on the 2-time All-SEC selection. Phillips will be headed back to the line for the Tigers, who have dominated so far the first half.
You never know with the matchup, they can go beyond that. This is, I think, is a legitimate NCAA tournament team. And obviously they're playing on the bubble, but I think they're playing for seeding. Because if you look at their net ranking, which is 59, that's because of the 3 losses in the non-conference that were significant, but they had injuries. Now they're healthy. They have an inside-outside attack. They're strong, and they're peaking at the right time. And so that's what it's more so about. And with their type of personnel grouping that they have, they match up with everyone. So I think they're in a really good position to make a run.
Did not have Jaden Stone for 8 games. Did not have Trent Pierce until really November. And they didn't have Burns until November. So this is a team, Richard, that really is a lot different than they were the first 2 months of the season.
And then you have to consider, even when they come back, how long does it take you to get your legs up under you and get the rhythm and the chemistry? Now they're starting to get it. Players are playing extremely confident, and they're understanding their roles.
Bodies on the deck. Ballard forces a jump ball, and the arrow points to the Tigers. Just about everything has gone Mizzou's way in these opening 17 minutes.
They have had a tremendous level of activity. Relentless, staying after it. You want to see a team that's playing ball like they want to be a part of the NCAA tournament. You keep your eyes right here on this squad. Josh Hubbard taking a little bit of a break. Mississippi State's going to have to figure some things out. It's a massive deficit that they have here in the first half. but if you're State, you have to challenge yourself to find some wins possession by possession. That's a tough turnover right there by T.O. Barrett. You're coming down trying to throw that in the low post to Phillips. You have to take 1 or 2 more dribbles over to the left and increase and improve your passing angle to get it to the big when it comes to post entries.
McGee doubled, poked by Stone, and Barrett scoops it up. 11 turnovers for State in the first half. Cruz sent back by the freshman King Grace.
I like that. He blocked it, and you know, he wanted to get a handshake to get up. He said, I can get up on my own.
Well, tomorrow at 6 Eastern, we will have a 3-hour best of this week's SEC Indoor Track and Field Championships. The A&M Aggies defending their men's crown. Meanwhile, on the women's side, the Razorbacks have won 13 in a row.
Dominance. Man. Always fun to watch the track and field on the indoor. Much smaller track, tighter turns.
What would you have done in track and field? High jump?
No. You know my answer. First off, my answer is I do my best. That's the first thing. That's always my go-to answer. I would have to throw something, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not built for speed and not built for endurance.
I can see you doing the disc. You got long levers.
Yeah, I can do that. I think I could throw a discus and maybe a shot put. But no, I'm definitely not doing anything long distance. If I'm going to run, it's going to be a sprint. I'll probably be built for the indoor. I can run a 60 meters. I'm not running 100, definitely not running a 400. I'd be passed out if it was an 800 or above, so no chance.
So the team mile challenge was never your thing?
Oh, no chance.
Epps lost his defender, buries the jumper. Just 4 points for Epps. He and Hubbard combined for 45 points in the first meeting against Mississippi State. They've been largely ineffective in this first half, and credit Missouri's defense.
And this Missouri defense swarming. That's one where McGee's got to make that extra pass over to King Grace to get a clean look. But it's challenging for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. You're trying to find something and you're competing. In many ways, it can feel like you're drowning and you're fighting against the tide and trying to get up. These moments are very difficult. That's when you have to have the discipline to continue to work together. As you can see, a group that's together right there in that huddle. Missouri Tigers. Effective once again at the free throw line. Missouri elected to drop back, play a little bit of half-court defense. That's really good fundamentals right there. T.O. Barrett with that steal deflection with the right hand.
Chore's got to put one up. Can't hit. Ballard fighting for it. Tap to McGee. Through contact. Counted in the foul.
The fight of this Mississippi State Bulldog team. It has to be commended. You're down significantly here in the first half, but you see the Spirit battling for offensive rebounds. Ballard coming in, keeping it alive. Jabari McGee finishing that amongst the trees. You have to talk about the importance of trying to win possessions and even the time limit left in the game. You got 47 and 1/10 second remaining. If you're Mississippi State, you want to make this free throw, get a stop and a bucket, and have some positive plays moving forward.
"23 points for State. 2 more than the fewest they have scored in a half this year. Missouri's defense has been stifling. And Dennis Gates calls timeout, leading 54-23 with just a shade under 40 seconds to play in the opening half.
Great job by Missouri. A 2-for-1 situation, and you see T.O. Barrett inbounding that ball and going downhill. That strength and shoulder move he's able to use, and somehow, some way squeezes that one up between 2 defenders. That's beautiful work by Barrett of the Missouri Tigers.
Has started the last 9 games as Barrett playing the best basketball of his career. He's averaging 15 a game, but it's all the other things too that he does, mixing it up defensively, helping his teammates get involved, even chipping in rebounds. And in the non-conference, he still was not quite solidified as their PG1. Obviously that flipped in league play. We saw one of his better games of the early goings against Auburn, which was a signature home win at the start of SEC play for Missouri. It's only gone up since then for T.O. Barrett.
I thought that was the game that really flipped the switch for T.O. Barrett. He was effective in that one in both ends of the court, and the confidence has grown through the work. And the really good thing you touched on, how now he's turned into PG1, is that Anthony Robinson is still bringing it too in his role. So that's what you want to see if you're Dennis Gates, that you have players that are stepping up and playing good basketball. And here they are once again, another steal and another turnover for Mississippi State, the 12th of this game. This last 41 seconds has been won completely by Missouri.
Jaden Epps really wanted a foul on that last turnover, won't get it. Shot clock turned off. He's defending Barrett. 4 to go. Stone with 1. Did he get it off? No. 54 points in the opening half, 1 shy of Missouri's season high. They were dominant. So dominant that this is their largest halftime lead in SEC play for the Tigers this year.
They came out of the gate on a mission, and they've been playing top-notch ball for the entire game on both ends of the court, holding Mississippi State to 33% shooting and generating 12 turnovers. We'll see what's in store in the second half, but this Missouri team looks motivated.
They have won 5 of their last 7 games, including a pair against top 25 teams. Guys, they look like they could beat just about anybody in the country right now. But all this afternoon, at least in the first 20 minutes, it's been the Missouri defense. Matt Schumacher, Richard Hendricks with you. And Richard, they had 21 points off of 12 turnovers in the opening 20 minutes.
Yeah, they have been stellar when it comes to their impact defensively, and also 12 second chance points. So when they miss it offensively, they're crashing the old boards and they're paying it off. It's a strong team that looks like they want to be in part of the NCAA tournament.
21-point halftime lead, the most Missouri has ever had in an SEC game since they joined the conference over a decade ago. Tigers playing their best basketball of the season. They've won 5 out of their last 7 and another turnover.
They're still doing a really good job of forcing Mississippi State to run their offense well outside of the operational area. If you're Mississippi State, you have to do a better job of setting quality screens.
Some of their open looks just have not fallen today. They're 0 for 10 from 3. A handful of those have been uncontested. Perhaps some of the residual effects of Missouri's length, just knowing that they are lurking. Interception by Jones. Here's Epps, tries a 3.
It was a really good change-up defensively by Mississippi State. They elected not to double-team on Mark Mitchell in the low post. This time, they're forcing him to the baseline and then coming with the double-team on the trap after he puts it on the deck.
Tap back jam good for Phillips Jr., who now has a game-high 16.
Does a really good job there, getting freed up in that screen roll action. They had some things off ball that engaged the defense of Mississippi State.
Barrett airmails the home run pass to Mitchell.
Good catch down there on the baseline.
Gotta keep your head on a swivel down here.
At all times.
Courtside seats.
Yeah, he said he called a touchdown. He should have shot.
He wants to shoot it. They could probably use his shot.
Yeah, Mississippi State definitely got to figure out a way to get some offense going. And you look at this type of ball pressure and trapping defenses that they're putting on Mississippi State.
First 3 of the game for the Bulldogs. And it comes from Josh Hubbard, one of the top scorers in the nation.
He got a clean look right there as Phillips hedged, but he did not stick with his ball screen coverage of getting the ball out of Hubbard's hands. Gave him just a little bit of a peek, and he goes to work.
Phillips defended by Ballard, doubled, lost the ball. Here comes Epps, 3-on-3. Epps bounce pass, Jones goes reverse.
Great job being organized in conversion. They came down, and Epps was decisive. Sean Jones Jr. with a spirited cut in a reverse layup to avoid the shot block.
Last time these teams played on January 31st, Missouri led by as many as 15 in the second half. State cut it to 3 with 2 minutes to play. Robinson inside Phillips, corrals, swatted. Out of play. It'll stay here with 6 to shoot for Missouri.
Mississippi State's part starting to put some things together defensively. They've switched up things with their double teaming down low. When the ball gets in the paint, they are all converging on a swarm type defense. And it's also impacting what they're getting on the offensive end.
Pierce, catch and shoot 3, no. Rebound Ballard. And now Hubbard taking the bump from Stone. Hezzy lays it in with the scoop.
Mississippi State starting to have a little bit of surge. Dennis Gates wants to talk things over because the Bulldogs have come out of the gate with some big-time plays. And Josh Hubbard with that yo-yo dribble as he puts it on the deck. And the nice finish high off the glass. Mississippi State starting to do some things.
7-0 run over the last 72 seconds for Chris Jans' team. Really find themselves in an unfamiliar position. Since he took over as the head coach, he has led them to 3 consecutive 20-win seasons and 3 consecutive trips to the NCAA tournament. Right now, they are on the outside looking in. And if they're unable to mount a monster comeback today against Missouri, they likely need a large run in the SEC tournament. But when you have that man at the top of the scout, anything is possible for State in March.
Yeah, you got a chance. And Chris Jans has done a really good job here in Starkville. And this year, a lot of the issues come down to roster construction. You might not have enough firepower to finish off some of these games, but no doubt about it, they have competed. Now within that, you have what you have, and here you are with remaining games in the season. You have to figure out a way to get it done as a collective unit. You might not be able to win in a situation on the individual basis, but it's like the fingers in the hand. You come together and make a strong fist. If the synergy is there, then you can be competitive, but they have to figure out how to do it now.
Out of the Missouri timeout. Under 17 minutes to play. 26-point lead for Mizzou. Robinson knocks down a 3. And if you're Dennis Gates, you love that response to stop a 7-0 run for State.
That's exactly what you want to see. And they executed well, got the ball moving from side to side. And we talked about Anthony Robinson II. You know, a lot of high expectations of him to be PG1 on this team, but he is accepting his position, and he's playing as PG1. You got to understand, there are no starters, there are no stars. Everyone needs to star in their role when their number is called.
That's sort of the MO for Dennis Gates. It has been since he took over. The whistle will go against the Tigers with 2.5 seconds to shoot. And that will reset the clock to 20 for the Bulldogs. But Dennis Gates has regularly talked about the unselfishness and the togetherness of that team. And really, Richard, over the last week and a half to 2 weeks, I think they have embodied that maybe more than any other point this season.
Well, Missouri takes on the personality of their head coach, Dennis Gates. He has a really good job in his leadership style of always being calm and collected. His teams believe in him. They're playing a really good ball right now.
The SEC standings certainly have a lot left to shake out. Missouri right now in a 4-way tie for 5th. They have wins over Vandy, A&M, and Kentucky, and still the Tigers can finish anywhere from 2nd to 10th. Now with a win today, they will reduce the likelihood of falling much further than 5th, with a road game left at Oklahoma and then a home tilt in a rematch with Arkansas. We called their first game against Arkansas, Richard, and they were in that until about the 4-minute mark of the second half. That is an opportunity for the Tigers to really solidify themselves potentially as one of the top 4 seeds in the SEC tournament.
Well, even if they're not one of the top 4 teams, right now they're playing as one of the top 4 teams in the conference. And they're going to have to continue to keep this momentum that they're on. They're playing good basketball as of right now. And you mentioned they beat the teams that they are in contention with, including Tennessee, who is above them in the standings. So they have that, knowing that they can play against the top level teams and still an opportunity to achieve a high seeding in the SEC tournament.
Pair of ranked wins in the last week and a half against Vanderbilt and, as you mentioned, Tennessee. Played a ranked Arkansas team on the road tightly. Talked about the depth, the length of this team. But it's a team that's also experienced. They returned 3 starters from SEC play last year. That's the most of any team in the league, and I think we're starting to see that experience really play out on the back end of this season.
Well, it takes time to be able to gel when it comes to the continuity that's returning and then the newcomers. In many ways, the collegiate game is turning into the same brand as what you see in the international ranks. And what I mean by that is that rosters change every year. You'll have a few players that are retained. You have to figure out how do you put together your team when it comes to roster construction and compensation. And sometimes I think a lot of these college coaches are having a hard time figuring out how to manage where do you put together your team in order to be competitive and how do you make it gel. Some coaches can figure it out, but for most, it's taken a lot of time to get it together.
Stone, one of the newcomers for Missouri, came over from West Virginia. Of course, Mitchell, second-year transfer from Duke. Sean Phillips Jr. in the low block has had an excellent day. Leads all scorers with 16. He's a newbie coming over from Arizona State. Here's Robinson with less than 10 to shoot. And went right into the chest of Epps to draw a foul.
We talk about utilizing your role. Anthony Robinson has a quick first step. And offensively, he still has something in his bag. They elect to go Dennis Gates, give him spread isolation situation, clear it out, and let him utilize the mismatch that he has. And it was effective. Draws a foul, goes to the line for 2.
Oh, it was interesting. Dennis Gates said that Anthony Robinson is a product of hard coaching. And he specifically referenced the end of his freshman year, beginning of his sophomore year. He was particularly hard on Anthony Robinson. So much that Robinson joked he couldn't do anything right in practice because Gates always made it about him and how he needed to improve. But there was a method behind that, Richard, trying to harden his veteran point guard.
Well, that's a good thing. You know, if you're getting coached hard, then that means the coach sees a lot in you and they think that you can really help out the team and improve. Now, if the coach is not coaching you at all or ignoring what you have going, that's where you really have problems. So for young players in today's era, Oftentimes you think that the hard coaching means that the coach is hating on you, doesn't want to help you, or doesn't like you. It's the opposite. When they're not coaching you, that's when they really don't care. And Dennis Gates cares about his point guard, Anthony Robinson.
Ooh, Mitchell, hard fall to the court. Helped up by his teammates. He'll get 2 shots.
See that strong drive there. Mark Mitchell. Takes a lot to get him off of his feet, as he's many times the one that's delivering the blows as he attacks the basket.
For the Bulldogs, number 11, Sergey Matsurai, 23, King Grace will check in, replacing Jamar Davis Fleming and Sean Jones.
Lob inside. Ballard couldn't finish. Point blank.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And Mississippi State, that's when you wish you had back, as Missouri tried to switch and then trap Hubbard. Hubbard made the right read, but Ballard not able to finish.
And right back to the line will go Mark Mitchell, who leads Missouri in scoring, rebounding, and assists.
Well, since that timeout that Dennis Gates made around 16 minutes, Missouri has made all of the adjustments. They've been on a run, 7-0 run, and adding to it. It's the little things that you have to do in the games that make all of the difference. The small adjustments, the margins are thin, but if you can get a little bit of adjustment and a tweak here or there, it can change the trajectory of the game.
Still a lot of basketball to play today on SEC Network. This the first of 4. And as we just showed you, a monster top 25 showdown between Arkansas and Florida, who leads the league right now with an 8-game win streak. And it'll be very interesting to see how Arkansas handles this opportunity against Florida, because many feel like Arkansas can make another run to the Sweet 16 this year.
I think they can, and this is going to be a massive opportunity for Darius Acup Jr. This guy is a player that's clearly in the run for the freshman of the year, but he's going to get consideration for the SEC Player of the Year and beyond, and this is a showtime game for him, as you see a showtime dunk there by Trent Pierce with that drive on the baseline.
Frankly, he should be in consideration for national freshman.
He should be. He should be, totally.
Barrett off the strip. Kick out Pierce, left open for 3. Knocks it down for Missouri. Timeout on the floor. Tigers up 68-32 with 12:40 to go from Starkville.
Adjustments have been made by Missouri on a 12-2 run since that last timeout. It's the beautiful sweeping drive right there by Trent Pierce, and coming down in transition once again. They find him at 6'10" with the sweet stroke. Man, Missouri, the response and putting their foot on the gas.
Well, it's interesting. I'm not sure how many people would have thought at the beginning of January, even, Richard, that Missouri could be the team that they are right now. Remember, they had losses to Ole Miss, LSU, and Georgia over a 4-game stretch. Since then, they have lost just 3 games, only 2 over the last 7. And of course, as we've talked about, the stretch of top 25 games that this team has not only played in but competed in and won. Dennis Gates has to feel really good about how his team is trending going into March.
Well, this coaching staff has been immensely confident throughout the entire season. They knew that health was the biggest reason why they were not able to be as successful as they wanted to be early in the season. Now, the resiliency in learning how to win games has shown, as they've been 7-1 in games that are decided by 5 points or less. If you get late in the ball game, then Missouri knows how to finish you off. And it's because they've been battle tested early on, and now they're healthy.
The lone SEC loss in a game decided by 5 points or less was against Georgia back in January. Of course, one of those 5-point wins came against this Mississippi State team about a month ago. What a difference a month makes for Missouri. Hubbard, fall away, knocks it in.
That's a tough shot right there that he makes look easy. The degree of difficulty, he comes in at his size to fade away in the mid-range and knock that one down. Man, cash money.
Robinson with 5, step back 3. Cruz fighting for it. It's Grace coming away with it. And the freshman will walk it up the floor for the Dogs. Grace off the bounce. Stopped at the rim by Burns. They're going to count the bucket and the foul.
I think they're going to have to look at this one again. It looked to me that Trent Burns might have got that one at the apex and pinned it to the glass. But nonetheless, going to the line, Mississippi State into the break.
Here on the court, a Missouri coach's challenge after a goaltend was called on a block by Trent Burns, which also included a foul. So as it stands right now, this is an and-one for King Grace. Dennis Gates feels otherwise.
From my view, I thought it was a clean block. We'll get another view at it. Yeah, I think that's about as close as you can get. Now, I would say that he got that one right at the apex and pinned it against the glass. I think this one's going to be overturned as a block, but this is about as tough of a call as you have to make when it comes to a rejection.
Officiating crew: Courtney Green, Orlandis Poole, Garrick Shannon.
After review, the call stands as called. Goaltending. Missouri will lose their challenge and their timeout.
As we were notified, it wasn't enough evidence to overturn it. That's about as close as you can get. I think if that one is called as a block on the court, if it's challenged the other way, it can still remain. Sometimes, you know, you're in those tough situations, but I think this crew did a really good job with the information they had. Some might be the toughest calls of the game right there, but a good effort by two good players driving and also defending.
Barrett with 10 to shoot. Through contact, banks it in.
Sometimes it's good D and sometimes it's better O. Mississippi State did a good job making those driving lanes congested, but T.O. Barrett just having enough to finish that one.
McGee inside Jamarion Davis Fleming for 2.
I'm telling you, man, that two-man game with Davis Fleming, he's got to figure out a way to find his way in the screen roll action. He's had 2 monster dunks tonight with his athleticism. As he continues to grow, that's going to be his way to be effective as a loud threat in the screener and roll.
Well, we came back to break with a highlight of Kentucky leading Vanderbilt by 19. That would be a top 20 win for a Kentucky team that right now is on the outside, rather on the bubble a little bit, Richard. Currently a 7 seed, but they can really solidify their spot in the field at 68. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games. This is a huge opportunity for Big Blue Nation today against Vanderbilt.
A lot of movement can be done in the SEC. As you see right there, you got Georgia, Missouri, Texas A&M, Texas, and Auburn fighting around that 10 line. You have good chances to try to get yourself solidly in the tournament, or you can play yourself off and the bubble can bust.
Auburn 1-7 in their last 8 games. This was a team 2 weeks ago that was solidly in. Right now, their last 4 in. Monster game later on tonight right here on the SEC Network against Ole Miss. Part of a quadruple header on the penultimate weekend of league play.
Keyshawn Hall to Hod Pettiford. They're going to have to play top-level ball. But the real key for Auburn moving forward is the former Mississippi State player, Keyshawn Murphy. He's had some good games, and he's going to have to get it done. They got 25 points and 10 rebounds in a recent performance, and he's got to be effective down low for Auburn if they're going to move forward. Moving forward in this game, it's been all Missouri. A little bit of a fight and a surge right now for Mississippi State with 9 minutes and 41 seconds to go.
Missouri will be at Oklahoma on Tuesday, then home against Arkansas. That game on ESPN at 11 a.m. to kick off the SEC regular season finale. Grace, blow by, stripped. Here comes Mitchell. Numbers for the Tigers. Stone, a kick to Cruz. Automatic from downtown.
You can tell this team is drilled well when it comes to transition offense. They got that steal after the strip by T.O. Barrett, and they all got on their horse running their lanes. And that time, Cruz, the recipient of a beautiful skip pass. And the Epps with a response for State.
It speaks to the depth and the weapons of this Missouri team. Cruz, who is not one of their top 5 scorers, leads the team in 3-point makes.
He has a quick release. At 6'8", he can get it off, even with a contest. And you see that right there. You go big to big screen roll action with Mark Mitchell. That look off with his eyes that he was going to throw that look alley-oop over the top to Trent Burns allowed him to get that drop, toss, soft shot right there in the mid-range. Go again with that 2-man game, 4 and 5 on the bigs.
Burns wins it back, then took a shot to the face by Hubbard. And Epps is down on the side of the court. There was a scrum for the basketball, which included King Grace hitting the deck. And remember, Epps has dealt with some injuries this year, missed the entire second half of the Carolina game last week. Exited with a knee injury. Chris Jans looking on with concern. We will update you when we return. G to PG. Unselfishness between two guys that have rotated at the same position. When the expectation all offseason, Richard, was that this would be Anthony Robinson's team for all intents and purposes.
You know, oftentimes players get too caught up in that. You get caught up in, I want to be a starter, I want to be the man, I want it to be about me. You need to make it about we. And how can you come out there and work your minutes within it? Good coaches will put the best players on the court. You can have 2-point guards, you can have 3-point guards, you can have 3 bigs. You look at Florida, they got their best 4 players are all interior players, and the coaches find a way to play them together. So if you understand how to work your minutes and play in tandem with whoever's on the court, you can always be effective regardless of who you think is the man.
You were always the man at Alabama. What a swat on that drive by Mitchell. It'll stay here 10 to shoot.
I guess somebody got to be the man. but you got to earn being the man. It's not something that can be given, and you can see a manly block right there at Mississippi State.
Matt Schumacher, the former All-SEC big man. Richard Hendricks with you. Under 8 to play. Stone off the side of the rim. Robinson at 6'2". And now Cruz, a third opportunity for Missouri. Stone Maybe hesitated too much on that open three. Grace with the rebound. King Grace knocks in a three.
That's a nice shot right there by King Grace. And he shot that with a lot of confidence. He has some potential as he can continue to work his offensive game. He's an athletic player that oftentimes takes on the defensive role on this team. He's going to have a big offseason to see what he can add as far as confidence in his offensive repertoire.
Stone back out Cruz. Yes. Second three of the second half for Cruz.
Great inside-out basketball. And get the ball into the paint. You kick it out. Cruz is locked and loaded.
Grace, blow by, lays it in.
And you see, you knock down the outside shot, and the defense has to step up to respect you. That's how you play the game. Put it on the deck, blow by him, and take the easy layup.
Robinson, 10 on the degree of difficulty. Mitchell, right place, right time.
13 offensive rebounds for Missouri in this game. The second chance points 14-2 in that category. Mitchell with another.
Hubbard took a little bit of a bump and knocks it down from straight away.
Now, both of these teams are really starting to heat up offensively. And the question is the offense getting better, or is the game in this sort of 31-point differential, or are they not playing the elite level defense? I'd like to see both of these teams continue to play tough defense to continue to build your team for moving forward.
Robinson. That's back-to-back threes for Missouri.
Both teams trading baskets in these moments.
Well, next Sunday, pardon me, partner, next Sunday it's a meeting of two of the top teams in women's gymnastics. Number 2 LSU, number 4 Florida. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern. Sky Blakely of Florida got the Gators' first 10 of the season last weekend on the beam. Meanwhile, LSU just rolled past Alabama. That ought to be a fun one on Sunday night.
Well, you know, I'm going to watch it. You know, I always say it. The best athletes in the league. You got to watch them do their thing. That's going to be fun to see. A top 5 matchup on Sunday.
The beam, it's all impressive. The beam to me is just crazy. You've got such a small margin of error, and you've got these ladies doing flips, handstands, one-leg twists.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge for some people even just to even get up on the beam, and a bigger challenge to jump down. That's where the pain might happen. It's the landing.
The dismount.
That's exactly what you call it.
Barrett. Back iron, no. Rebound tracked down to Robinson. Here's Mitchell.
Missouri and Dennis Gates trying to find a mismatch in this long set. Got it spread out. Trying to survey to see where do your advantages lie.
Hubbard, good shuffle to Ballard, who paid it off with a flush.
He was able to drop that dime because he was rim focused, and that thought the defense over to think he was going to shoot to finish it up. Scoops it over to the big man, and that's how you play unselfish ball and reward the big who's been working for you in the screen roll action.
Mitchell, back out Barrett. Jarred loose, 3 to shoot. Well defended by Grace King, and the freshman got a piece. Jones a transition 3. Rebound Jamarion Davis Fleming, and he draws 2 shots.
Mississippi State starting to get some things done on the inside, and there's a drop-off right there by Hubbard to Ballard. A beautiful job by the big man.
Tigers are about to win their 6th game in the last 8. Wouldn't be shocked to see a number next to Missouri's name at the start of next week when the new AP poll comes out. It'll be their 20th win of the season, and they have beaten 2 top 25 teams in the last 10 days.
Good week for the Tigers. Talking about signature wins, that last one that they had at home is really something that can boost their resume. And not only the resume, but the morale when you're talking about playing against tough teams in conference play.
Still possible for the Tigers, particularly if they go on a little run here at the end of the SEC slate, handle business on the road at Oklahoma, and then beat Arkansas at home. Still in play for them to get one of those top 4 seeds in a double bye in the SEC tournament coming up in 2 weeks in Nashville.
And that's what it should be about. You play to the end. And even for teams that feel like they might be out of contention for the NCAA tournament, you never take for granted the opportunity to play games.
Well, particularly for Mississippi State, because you've got a team, and particularly a core, returning next year that you can build around. Josh Hubbard will be a senior. King Grace is just a freshman. Jamarion Davis Fleming, also just a freshman. There's some talented pieces with the portal. You can go and get a couple of guys, as you well know, Richard, that completely flip the script next year. But between now and then, they'll likely have an opportunity to play in the NIT. If they're able to string together another win or two before the end of the year. And as we've seen time and again, the NIT can really be a springboard going into the following season.
Yeah, most definitely. You want to continue to play and grow. And I think the question moving forward for Mississippi State will be, how do you go about your roster construction and which to play around Josh Hubbard? It's easy to say that you have to have players to play alongside him, but you have to have complementary players off of what he brings to the table. And that's a different question of just saying put in talent. And you got a kid who is Mississippi's all-time leading scorer in high school basketball. Is heading to be on the way at Mississippi State as the all-time leading scorer here. And if he's going to be the focal point of what you have going, then it's going to be about how do you put together a team that complements what he does best and can bring about wins.
For the Bulldogs, number 11, Sergei Masarat checks in, along with number 1, Dylan.
Only Josh Hubbard and two-time NBA champ Bailey Howell have scored at least 575 points in 3 straight seasons at Mississippi State. He's already the all-time 3-point scorer. Was honored with that game ball earlier today before we tipped off. And Chris Jans said of his star, I never get tired of talking about him because he's an even better person than he is ball player, and that is high praise.
I mean, he's done a lot of work in the community as far as what he's doing, giving back in his home state. I mean, the way that he carries himself, it should be applauded. He comes from a great family where he gets a lot of support here at Mississippi State. I mean, so it's a phenomenal player who's done a lot of really good things. Struggled to get some wins as far as the team is concerned. But he leaves it all out there on the court.
Final minute here from the hump. Jaden Stone with 2 to shoot. Draws a 3-point shooting foul on Grace.
That's one where the veteran player was able to take advantage of the rookie. King Grace has done some really good things, but he'll learn with his defensive versatility and ability. At the end of the shot clock, you walk up closer to your man, not leaving your feet. And you got to understand that he has to get a shot up. That pump fake, you don't bite on it. Force him to shoot a tough contested shot from deep.
The most Missouri has scored in regulation of an SEC game this year. And it really started early. Went on a monster run, got up double digits before the first media timeout, and they never looked back. Tigers have led by as many as 36 in this game. and they'll win it by 20+.
Another win. But it was the statement in which they did it as far as the defensive effort of Mazzarra. They will knock down one in the corner. Something for him to build upon the three. But this game right here has been all about the Mizzou Tigers. They came out of the gate, got it done, generated 18 turnovers in this game and 14 second chance points. An unbelievable performance by a spirited and strong Missouri Tiger team.
Burns off the side of the rim. Final 5 seconds. King Grace dribbling it out for Mississippi State. The Tigers, playing the best basketball of their season, have won 6 of their last 8 games. Don't be surprised if Mizzou is ranked next week.
Well, they're definitely playing like a ranked team, and Dennis Gates has to be proud of this performance for his team. They came out and did a great job in the first 20 minutes of the game and put the game away. They were to coast down the finish line in the second half. Big win for the NCAA tournament resume for the Missouri Tigers.
Another 20-win season for Dennis Gates and Mizzou. For Richard Hendricks, our entire crew, Matt Schumacher saying so long from the hump. A lot of basketball left to play right here on the SEC Network. We send you back to studio with Peter and the guys.